This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset, where we read a few pages of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and then open the room for discussion. This morning, we're going to be reading pages 151 to 155. Those in the comment area, there is a PDF link for you to click on if you don't have a copy of the book yourself. So starting on page 151, for context, this is referencing the Declaration of Independence document. We all remember the date of this momentous decision, but few of us realize what courage that decision required. We remember our history as it was taught. We remember dates and the names of the men who fought. We remember Valley Forge and Yorktown. We remember George Washington, Lord Cornwallis. But we know little of the real forces back of those names, dates, and places. We know still less of that intangible power which ensured us freedom long before Washington's armies reached Yorktown. We read the history of the Revolution and falsely imagine that George Washington was the father of our country, that it was he who won our freedom, while the truth is Washington was only an accessory after the fact, because victory for his armies had been ensured long before Lord Cornwallis surrendered. This is not intended to rob Washington of any of the glory he so richly merited. Its purpose, rather, is to give greater attention to the astounding power that was the real cause of his victory. It is nothing short of tragedy that the writers of history have missed entirely even the slightest reference to the irresistible power which gave birth and freedom to the nation destined to set up new standards of independence for all the peoples of the world. I say it is a tragedy because it is the self-same power which must be used by every individual who surmounts the difficulties of life and forces life to pay the price asked. Let us briefly review the events which gave birth to this power. The story begins with an incident. In Boston, March 5th, 1770, British soldiers were patrolling the streets, by their presence openly threatening the citizens. The colonists resented armed men marching in their midst. They began to express their resentment openly, hurling stones as well as epithets at the marching soldiers until the commanding officer gave orders, fix bayonets, charge. The battle was on. It resulted in the death and injury of many. The incident aroused such resentment that the Provincial Assembly, made up of prominent colonists, called a meeting for the purpose of taking definite action. Two of the members of that assembly were John Hancock and Samuel Adams. Long live their names. They spoke up courageously and declared that a move must be made to eject all British soldiers from Boston. Remember this, a decision in the minds of two men might properly be called the beginning of the freedom which we of the United States now enjoy. Remember, too, that the decision of these two men called for faith and courage because it was dangerous. Before the assembly adjourned, Samuel Adams was appointed to call on the governor of the province, Hutchinson, and demand the withdrawal of the British troops. The request was granted. The troops were removed from Boston, but the incident was not closed. It had caused a situation destined to change the entire trend of civilization. Strange, is it not, how the great changes, such as the American Revolution and the World War, often have their beginnings in circumstances which seem unimportant. It is interesting also to observe that these important changes usually begin in the form of a definite decision in the minds of a relatively small number of people. Few of us know the history of our country well enough to realize that John Hancock, Samuel Adams, Richard Henry Lee of the province of Virginia were the real fathers of our country. Richard Henry Lee became an important factor in this story by reason of the fact that he and Samuel Adams communicated frequently by correspondence, sharing freely their fears and their hopes concerning the welfare of the people of their provinces. From this practice, Adams conceived the idea that a mutual exchange of letters between the 13 colonies might help to bring about the coordination of efforts so badly needed in connection with the solution of their problems. 2 years after the clash with the soldiers in Boston, March of '72, Adams presented this idea to the Assembly in the form of a motion that a correspondence committee be established among the colonies, with definitely appointed correspondents in each colony for the purpose of friendly cooperation for the betterment of the colonies of British America. Mark well this incident. It was the beginning of the organization of the far-flung power destined to give freedom to you and to me. The mastermind had already been organized. It consisted of Adams, Lee, and Hancock. I tell you further that if two of you agree upon the earth concerning anything for which you ask, it will come to you from my Father who is in heaven. The Committee of Correspondence was organized. Observe that this move provided the way for increasing the power of the mastermind by adding to it men from all the colonies. Take notice that this procedure constituted the first organized planning of the disgruntled colonists. In union, there is strength. The citizens of the colonies had been waging disorganized warfare against the British soldiers through incidents similar to the Boston riot, but nothing of benefit had been accomplished. Their individual grievances had not been consolidated under one mastermind. No group of individuals had put their hearts, minds, souls, and bodies together in one definite decision to settle their difficulty with the British once and for all, until Adams, Hancock, and Lee got together. Meanwhile, the British were not idle. They too were doing some planning and masterminding on their own account, with the advantage of having back of them money and organized soldiery. The Crown appointed Gage to supplant Hutchinson as a governor of Massachusetts. One of the new governor's first acts was to send a messenger to call on Samuel Adams for the purpose of endeavoring to stop his opposition by fear. We can best understand the spirit of what happened by quoting the conversation between Colonel Fenton, the messenger sent by Gage, and Adams. Colonel Fenton: I have been authorized by Governor Gage to assure you, Mr. Adams, that the governor has been empowered to confer upon you such benefits as would be satisfactory. Endeavor to win Adams by promise of bribes, upon the condition that you engage to cease in your opposition to the measures of the government. It is the governor's advice to you, sir, not to incur the further displeasure of his majesty. Your conduct has been such as makes you liable to penalties of an amount of Henry the Eighth, by which persons can be sent to England for trial for treason or misprision of treason, at the discretion of a governor of a province. But by changing your political course, you will not only receive great personal advantages, but you will make your peace with the king. Samuel Adams had the choice of two decisions. He could cease his opposition and receive personal bribes, or he could continue and run the risk of being hanged. Clearly, the time had come when Adams was forced to reach instantly a decision which could cost his life. The majority of men would have found it difficult to reach such a decision. The majority would have sent back an evasive reply, but not Adams. He insisted upon Colonel Fenton's word of honor that the colonel would deliver to the governor the answer exactly as Adams would give it to him. Adams' answer: Then you may tell Governor Gage that I trust I have long since made my peace with the King of Kings. No personal considerations shall induce me to abandon the righteous cause of my country. And tell Governor Gage it is the advice of Samuel Adams to him no longer to insult the feelings of an exasperated people. Comment as to the character of this man seems unnecessary. It must be obvious to all who read this astounding message that its sender possessed loyalty of the highest order. This is important. Racketeers and dishonest politicians have prostituted the honor for which such men as Adams died. When Governor Gage received Adams's caustic reply, he flew into a rage and issued a proclamation which read, I do hereby in His Majesty's name offer and promise His most gracious pardon to all persons who shall forthwith lay down their arms and return to the duties of peaceable subjects, excepting only from the benefit of such pardon Samuel Adams and John Hancock, whose offenses are of too flagitious a nature to admit of any other consideration but that of condign punishment. As one might say in modern slang, Adams and Hancock were on the spot. The threat of the irate governor forced the two men to reach another decision equally as dangerous. They hurriedly called a secret meeting of their staunchest followers. Here, the mastermind began to take on momentum. After the meeting had been called to order, Adams locked the door, placed the key in his pocket, and informed all present that it was imperative that a Congress of the colonists be organized, and that no man should leave the room until the decision for such a Congress had been reached. Great excitement followed. Some weighed the possible consequences of such radicalism. Old man fear. Some expressed grave doubt as to the wisdom of so definite a decision in defiance of the crown. Locked in that room were two men immune to fear, blind to the possibility of failure, Hancock and Adams. Through the influence of their minds, the others were induced to agree that through the Correspondence Committee, arrangements should be made for a meeting of the First Continental Congress to be held in Philadelphia, September 5th, 1774. Remember this date. It is more important than July 4th, 1776. If there had been no decision to hold a Continental Congress, there could have been no signing of the Declaration of Independence. I am going to stop there. Boy, I'm sorry for some of the fumbles. Part of it is the edition of the book I'm reading. There are some typos. And part of it is words I'm truly unfamiliar with. But barring that, yes, Renan, some of them are tough words. I'm going to be looking those up just to see if they're real. Oh, yeah, Brian, thank you. Not enough coffee. All right, so what are we talking about here? Yes, we're talking about the birth of the United States of America as a nation, but how did it happen? It began with a decision. Then we brought in faith and courage. And then we brought in power, organized planning, right? So I'm going to open up the room. Anybody wants to discuss how the coming together of a small group of people called a mastermind for a definite purpose based on a definite decision? Perfect. Yes, definite purpose. That is it. There's great power in that. And they would not be swayed. So how definite is my major definite purpose? And can I be swayed from it? Room is open for discussion. Anybody wants to jump in the seat and talk about some of the things that have been read? Yes, they all had one vision. Now, that's interesting. Here's an interesting thing. I think based on the reading, based only on the reading, okay, and my knowledge that I live in the United States, was the vision to get away from something or to move towards something. I think it was two things. I think it was the vision of what this could be if we walk away from the power of Britain and under that rule and define our own way of living, so to speak. This is what we are going to live by, not our rules, not their rules, basically. And it was a small group of people. And there's great power. That's what I'm getting from this reading. There's great power when you have a group of people with that one vision, definite decision, definite purpose. Now, let's bring it down even further. Can I have that for myself? Again, seats open. Anybody wants to jump in and have a conversation about it, share your thoughts. And there was oppression, and they felt oppressed under those rules. Good morning, Guy. Good to see you. Internal external focus of control, to control or be controlled. Okay? That's definitely a principle that was applied here in terms of what that vision was for, right? The vision to move away from being controlled by somebody else. The vision of what it is to be under your own control, that level of freedom. I think what's really striking me is that Guy, here is a PDF that's available for you to, let's see here, maybe, there it is, to read along. And there are copies elsewhere. You're quite welcome. Ultimatums. That's what I'm reading to this point. I'm seeing ultimatums. And to put it in context for me, what I'm seeing is how focused am I on my personal growth, on my business, and on my final vision, if you will, the ultimate vision of what I want my life to be and what I want my business to look like. They knew death was on the table, but didn't deter them. Is that how we feel on our purpose? Yeah, that's where I'm going with it. That's where I'm going with it. How easily swayed am I by bright, shiny objects, by somebody else's viewpoint, by something as simple as, why are you doing it this way? This way, my way, might get you there faster. And not reviewing it, being really slow to make that decision, meaning I'm gonna talk about it, I'm gonna think about it, which of course distracts, instead of saying that does not align with what I have in place at the moment. Therefore, I will say no for now. It's the little things, and I think that's the other thing that I got out of this reading, is that all the steps preceding the big events, there are steps there, right? So I'm making decisions along the way. I'm making decisions today. I made them yesterday and the day before, and those decisions and choices that I make affect what today is going to bring and how I am going to respond and what foundation I'm coming from in response to what comes at me today, which includes those bright, shiny objects and people telling me that you might not want to do it this way. Why don't you try my way? My way's better. Diverting me, derailing me, and causing me angst, frustration, and angst and frustration, which of course comes from anger, because now I am off the path. There go, my vision is still out here, but I'm feeling myself over here instead of here or there, So stay focused on the process. Okay. And Renan says, fear that the way you're doing it is not going to turn out all right. Yes, of course there's fear there. At times. All right. I can't say, of course, there's fear there. I can't say that, because if I am solid in the direction I'm going and you are able to derail me, then yes, that is where you are tapping into my fear. I am responding to you from that fear because I'm not that definite in my plan and in my purpose. That's the way I'm seeing that. And they saw the big picture, so we have to see our vision as clear despite anything. Absolutely, yes. Yes, so do I have that big picture in my mind? Do you? Do you have that big picture in your mind? And then Sherry, focus and follow the plan and quit questioning those you seek help from. Okay, then why would I seek help? That one kind of throws me, Sherry. I don't think I'm understanding what you're trying to convey there. I thank you for conveying it. I'm just not sure that I understand. So the seat's open. Anybody brave enough to jump in and try to hash this out with me? You know.
Thank you for letting me in.
Glad to have you.
As you know from me asking for the link for the book, I haven't read the book yet. But what I'm hearing you say when you ask others for help, I'm thinking of the job I just did yesterday, of when I put my electrician hat on, as it were, the backyarder, because I can't afford to hire an electrician, so I did it myself. So you might be looking at, do you have team members in your company that you would consult because that's their area of expertise? Like when I did the job, the mission was fix the electrical plug-in. The area behind me had a bad plug-in, had to replace it. So the smart way, the textbook way to do it was you go to Joe the electrician and say, Joe, I need a new plug put in, right? Because that's his field of expertise. That's what he does for a living, not what I do for a living. But because of the funds not being there to hire Joe, I did it myself. But should I have still called him and said, Joe, is this something I should do myself, or should I just save up and hire you to do it because I'm going to muck it up? You know, so maybe it's time to say, well, I don't always think I'm 100% dead on right because I've made mistakes over time. Like a friend of mine, I work as a web developer, Charlene, and a friend in Alaska said the number one rule that he always does is always back up whatever you're working on, right?
Right.
And then always test it before you make it live. Because his slogan that we both kind of share is, if it isn't tested, it doesn't work.
Right.
So there you have it. That's my 2 cents. Is what that person was saying is Chad is asking somebody else. Maybe they're saying ask someone that just does that, you know, that job, the electrician on the team. And you're muted. I'm going to go.
Okay.
Thank you for being here every morning. It's very enjoyable.
Thank you, Guy. I appreciate you being on here. That's an interesting take. I'm seeing it a little differently, and I'm seeing it as I am seeking help from others. Like I am seeking help from everybody here to kind of you know, let's review this and see where you're coming from and how it applies to you, as Guy was so kind to jump in and share his perspective. So if I'm seeking help from you to maintain my focus and follow my plan, then why should I question you when you provide me the help that I'm seeking? It's another way to look at it. I was able to articulate that finally. Thank you, Guy. You assisted me in being able to clarify my own thoughts. I appreciate that. Okay. And then we say, I guarantee that all was not in that room was not so confident. We are not leaving. When Adams said, and that's why Adams said, sorry, we are not leaving this room, so we might have to reinforce the value to our mastermind. Oh, yeah. A little bit of fright was happening there. Hello. Good to see you. Okay, so
nice to see
my hope is I don't mangle this. Hannity?
Yep, you're right. Spot on.
Yes. Been practicing. All right. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I just have a client call in half an hour, but I just wanted to jump in and share. Basically, if you're seeking help from somebody, yes, you are allowed to question them.
Okay.
I don't see why you're not allowed to question them, because you're there to question and move. This is a learning process. It's not like one way kind of learning. Even if I'm with you and if you can be my teacher or my mentor, I have the right to step up and say, okay, why are you doing this? Show me, teach me, educate me.
Okay.
And I think that's what you're talking about, the questioning part, because I jumped in right now, just now. And I heard the last sentence, so I'm sorry. So I don't know if I'm on the right track, but I just wanted to jump in.
I'm so glad you did. I'm glad you did. Thank you. Now, if I could get Sherry to do that, because I have a feeling that we would all benefit if Sherry were willing to come on to help clarify her thoughts. Focus and follow the plan and quit questioning those you seek help from. It's the piece that we had read from Think and Grow Rich is directly related to the gathering of Samuel Adams, and we had Adams and Lee and Hancock. This is the beginnings of the country of the United States, and this is before the writing of the Declaration of Independence. And they gathered and they made the decision. They made a decision. Then they gathered and masterminded, if you will, by planning how to gather and what their vision is going to be to remove themselves from the control of the British, how they were going to handle the British that were currently in their midst, right? Yeah.
We are the British.
Yes. And, you know, they were being thrown up against fear because one of the governors at that time, one of his first acts as a replacement governor, was to pretty much tell Adams and Hancock, you know, you continue moving forward, we're going to hang you. And yet they continued to move forward. So how definite was their decision making? How definite was their purpose? And then they decided that they needed to have a correspondence committee for ease of communication amongst themselves as colonists. And this is after they've been threatened that, you know, the governor's going to pardon everybody else except Samuel Adams and John Hancock. And so a decision had to be made right now. And in response to that, they gathered in a secret meeting and what we're calling the mastermind of those who are thinking alike and have the same vision. And Adams pretty much put it out to them that no man's going to leave this room until a decision for such a Congress had been reached. We need a Continental Congress, and a decision will be reached. And so that's the reading and what was happening. And then Sherry threw this in, and I'm not sure whether it fits because of the comments that were made, and I was almost like brainstorming and just kind of free-flowing some thought there to see how this applied to me. And how do I not get derailed? Because they're not derailed. They're so focused. They will not be derailed. It doesn't matter if it's life or death to them. They will not be derailed. So they've made the decision.
There's an end result for them. Yeah,
they have the vision. They have a vision and a shared vision that they can all rally around and feel strongly about, even in spite of the threat of death, because it's treasonous. You know?
Yeah. Well, I have a saying, I always say it, if you fear it, you know, face it and tame it. So when you fear it, just face the fear and just tame it. Basically, just get over it. And that's how
so my question,
and I think that's what they did. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, are you able to do that with your own business on your own? Because what I'm seeing here and what I'm reading is the benefit of having that inner circle or the mastermind to become more, to help you be more than the fear, to help you pull on their energy to be more than the fear.
Well, personally, I mean, when I started my own business, it was a bit of a struggle. That's why I reached out for other people who are just ahead of me, and he did it because that's, as I said, I need to learn. I need to go baby steps. I was an infant then. So I need to be a toddler, then be a young boy, young girl, whatever, and then give it to my teenage. So it's a learning development process you need to go through. And yes, I'm with a mastermind. I have a mentor that is with me. I do question sometimes, but I question from the side that I want to learn. I want to learn from her. I want to go ahead with her. Again, I'm not questioning her or him, basically just to put them down or disrespect the knowledge. Not at all. When I was questioning is because teach me.
I want more.
how did you think about it? I want more.
Okay.
That is the questioning. That is the positive questioning.
Okay.
So yes, you need to be in a mastermind. You need to be with people that is a way ahead from you, because you need to go there. That is my end target. I'm focused on my end target. I need somebody to hold my hand, take me all the way.
Excellent. Thank you, Hannity. Now,
hi, Sean. I need to run out. Sorry, I need to. I'm sorry, Sean. I have to go.
I see how it is. I see how it is. I come on and you go by.
And he's even combed
Can't
his
resist
hair. He's even combed his hair, Hannity. My goodness.
Well, he did for me.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, I need. Thank you very much. It's always interesting to be on your blog, and I'll be there soon.
Good to see you.
Good to have you here. So I want to give a quick shout out and hello to Chuck and Valerie or Valeria. Some of these names, I'm sorry, I will mangle. Sherry, of course, thank you for your contributions as well as for being here, and Boomy. Sean Murphy, good to have you here. Michael and James, thank you for stopping in, Renan. And let's make sure I got everybody. Jose, glad to have you here. All right, welcome, Sean.
I can't believe my internet let me get in.
Shh, don't move. You have strong signal. Don't move. There you go. Don't. You know what this is? Can I interject here? This is like the old days of having the rabbit ear antennas. Okay, everybody, putting the aluminum foil on.
Should I wrap my iPad in aluminum foil?
There you go. Go ahead, please.
So I think, I was listening and I didn't catch the reading as usual. So I was trying to search. Usually I come in and I catch a few of your words and I'm able to search and find the page because my copy doesn't line up with your page numbers. So it's a little challenging to keep up.
Okay.
So I've been diligently in the background trying to find it
to
try and help unpack what Sherry shared and how it might fit.
Okay.
But when Hannity was sharing, I think for me that unlocked unlocked it for me with what she shared is the spirit of the questioning.
Oh, boy, that makes all the difference in the world.
Doesn't it? Yeah. The questioning, like she was saying, am I asking from a place of learning? How do you do this? And why do we do it this way instead of that way? Or are you questioning their recommendations?
And questioning out of fear or obstinance.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're getting all kinds of props from Sherry, so I have a feeling you hit the nail on the head with that one.
And with my study of NLP language, our language is so, I've been really listening to my tapes because I'm trying to up my game because I might have picked up a couple local clients.
Fantastic.
That found out I do mindset and NLP.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
So, I've been really trying to up my game. But the power of our language, we don't give it the credit it has. It is so powerful. The words we use, the way we use the words.
Well, the wordsmith in me does. The writer and editor from years past. Yes, words are powerful, and the right word can make all the difference in the world. Just as you did when you just brought in the word spirit. And, of course, we have a boom from Chuck. We're on track.
Bam!
Yes. That's when we know we've hit it. We've nailed it when Chuck comes in with a ba-boom. Think and Grow Rich changed my life. Yes, it is in the process of changing mine through this practice of reading and then sharing and talking and learning from everybody else. So, yes.
There's definitely an advantage to being able to unpack it together. Versus just reading it yourself, because you just get different perspectives and inputs, and it opens up so much. It's like opens up more of the treasure that's in that.
Well,
in those words.
Absolutely, and I can tell you right now that left to my own devices, reading those couple of pages on my own, the history lover in me would have been focused solely on the dates and the activity that preceded it focused on the story. It really,
right.
It was not on the principles that were brought out, not on the activity directly related to that which I can do now. The decision making, the planning, the use of a mastermind, the resolve, the persistence, which are all the principles that are in here. Power, power is big in here, and there's great power in gathering together as the mastermind, even if and what I really, 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 really like is that the mastermind's very small. It's not 100 people that are, it is this handful of people that have come together. They had a definite purpose and a vision. And then they were able to get others in, those like-mindeds, to follow. But these were the leaders. These were the ones that met in secret because they wanted something so badly they were willing to die for it. Napoleon did a fantastic job in examples and learning the success principles. Yes. Yeah. He 25 years of, and Carnegie put him up to it. 25 years of talking to these people, putting it together. This is actually Carnegie's principles, but Napoleon Hill took it further by talking to others so that he could confirm. Is a mastermind a reinforcement of your resolve towards your definite major purpose? Yes.
It definitely goes a long way towards it.
Yes, because without my mastermind, not the ones I moderate, but the one that I'm in as a member and let somebody else guide me, and I take advantage of them, they help me stay on track. And this is beyond the inner circle. This is the primary reason I'm a member of that mastermind is to grow myself so I can grow my business. It actually started out, I joined to grow my business, but it's turned out that I'm growing myself so that I can grow my business. They know what my major definite purposes. They know what my business is about, and they help keep me in line with what I'm doing. Now, having said that, between meetings is my responsibility. So I also have my weekly meeting with my business coach, and that happens on Mondays. It's on this afternoon today, actually. But yes, the mastermind, and it can I just say it doesn't matter what your definite major purpose is. It could be based on your own experiences and what you've determined that I need to get something done in the next 6 months. It has to happen. And I'm not sure quite what I'm supposed to do, but I know it has to happen. And if you're in a group of people that want to help you to succeed, they take that because you have to tell them what it is that your end result is, what that definite purpose is. And they can help to guide you to resources, get you thinking a little differently, like Sean pointed out, that one word, the spirit of the questions asked. That group can help flesh things out, help you to define, help you to stay focused. Yes, it's powerful. And Renan says they could only have that level of definite purpose if their passion lined up with their will. And I think, yes, okay. I quickly went through the process of having the passion and then getting the will to follow, but you're correct. You can have that.
Well, and I can throw another piece in there, is your values. If you're not clear on what your values are, and most of us aren't, because a lot of us run through life on autopilot, and we don't take the time to flesh out our values, flesh out, our drives. Tony Robbins talks a lot about the 6 basic human needs, and that every person on the planet is striving to fulfill those same 6 needs.
Mm-hmm.
The difference in, from me to you to the next person is the order priority of those values. Somebody might, their primary value is certainty. Another person might be contribution. Another person's primary drive is love and connection. But it's where all our decisions based comes from. But the values have to line up with our goals, because that's why we struggle so hard trying to reach our goals. Is if we're trying to set a goal, we may have a passion, we may have a drive, we may have a will, but if our values don't line up with it, subconsciously we'll fight it. And we'll be scratching our head going, why can't I get this goal? Because it doesn't line up with our values.
Okay. So to the side we have a comment. That's why you must question your mastermind, because someone might be great in the beginning, but then no good in the end.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
There's a couple of ways I can take that. My first thought was that might be time, as the moderator, I've seen that where it was time for somebody to leave because they weren't contributing. But then there's times when, no, I'm not going to say it, because I don't think that's true. I was taking single instances when people are off and what have you. So the comment actually is pretty spot on. Yes, in the beginning so it could be me, right? In the beginning, I'm gung-ho and I'm all about it. And 6 months later, I am questioning everything and I'm not participating as much as I'd like to. I'm really not I'm not ready for a mastermind at that point. I'm not a good member of, okay, I was on track with that. And then Renan says, we must discover our values, develop our passion, align it with our will, and it creates a definite of purpose.
Yes.
Now, see,
I don't know if it creates the definite purpose. I think you start with the definite purpose.
Yeah.
And look to align it with your values and passion and will. And when you put all that together, then, I think that's what brings on the persistence. Because if you have all those in place, that persistence is unstoppable.
Yeah, and it becomes a great power within yourself. So I'll describe it with my own instance. Yes, definite purpose first. I had to have my major definite purpose first. And when I wrote it out, of which I read morning and night, thank you very much, and I hand wrote it because Monty said it would be beneficial, and by gosh, it has been. When I hand wrote it, I saw where I wanted to be. That became a very clear vision for me of where I wanted to be. And it extended. That was just on my business at first. That was just strictly money. And then what happened was I became very clear on the kind of woman that I wanted to be as a business owner. From there, I realized that there were some gaps in my ability to get there. And that's where I was willing to take a look at me to see what was holding myself back. I was willing to ask for help from my mastermind members. I was willing to discuss and learn and there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear because I had never put and clarified that major definite purpose with dollar amounts as well as with what that perfect day looks like when I am there. What does it really truly look like? I'd never done that before. And when I did, then it became, now I have to battle that fear that says, well, that's not going to happen. It's not happened to this point. Why should I believe it's going to happen? And it became a battle, and that's when I brought other people in to help me to think differently so that it didn't matter what I felt. My thoughts could change my feelings. But I had to have somebody from the outside help me to rephrase, reframe, and use different words because I obviously was stuck in my own cycle or my own dictionary of vocabulary. So that's how I'm seeing what we're talking about. What do you think, Sean?
And then that's a very common, as in the modern society, we like to try to imagine that we can compartmentalize Like you started out, you said it was, okay, I had this goal and it was all business related. And then you brought in like,
then I learned
who is Charlene, you know, not just what is Search by Burke and Grow Because You Know, but who is Charlene in that business? Who is Charlene as a person, as a wife, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when we start melding that and that visioning, like you talked about, and actually one of my trainings that I got was when you're envisioning what that definite that end game, when definite purpose is achieved, that specific number, not even a rough number, you know, because if you set a goal, I want to make more money.
Oh no, mine's specific.
Right, but
I've
most
got a
people
date
say,
and a
you know, I
dollar
want to
amount.
make right. A lot of people say I want to make more money, and so guess what? You go out and you find $1 on the road. Your subconscious says, "Goal achieved, done. You got more money."
Good point.
So you definitely have to be extremely specific. When I wrote mine out, I was specific. I was like $1,436,092.56. I mean, I was that specific. And then the other part to bring in with your visualization, imagining what that day looks like you said, that perfect day when you can say, I've reached my goal. I did it. Is to bring in the morning. To bring in your thoughts, your feelings, your taste, smells, touch, any of the senses that you can bring in, those emotions. And that, when you have that and you regularly revisit it, like you said, looking at it daily, writing it out by hand, not typing it up on your computer or punching it in the notepad in your iPad or whatever, but actually hand writing it out. Look at it daily, at least once daily. The more you look at it, the better. And dwell on it a lot. And that's what gives us inspiration. Because motivation, that's what our mastermind, things like this can bring us that. Bring us the motivation, you know, that inspiration is internal and doesn't wane. Motivation wanes. You know, we go to a conference or something and we're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then, you know, real life hits us a couple days later and it's like, oh, okay, back to the grind. But that inspiration, like we've talked about, that definite purpose that's aligned with our values and our wills, with the visualization of what it really is going to look like, what it's going to feel like, smell, taste, etc., then we've got the inspiration, and that will push us to do what it takes to make the changes and find the gaps. You know, we start seeing the gaps, and then our brain goes to work saying, okay, how do we fix the gaps? How do we close the gaps?
Understand, and I tell this when I speak to my clients on one-on-one, because I think in Grow Rich is actually one of the major books that I follow as far as his teachings, is that we are a product of repetition. So that's very important that we have a definite purpose. Write it down is very important. And visualization is extremely important because as though it's already yours. You know, as though you already have it, smell it, taste it, touch it. I think that's very, very important because the universe will gravitate that to you. So, you know, with the definite purpose and a mastermind, and I was saying about how a mastermind, you can have 2 or 3 people in the beginning be great. You know, they may be on the same board as you and maybe focused as you, but there's a difference between change and progression. So they may not see the big picture as you. They may be along with the ride because they support you and everything like that. And so therefore they may be in the same link as you, but at the end, they may not have that persistence. They may not have that will. They may not have that drive. I mean, those people in the room with John Hancock, I mean, all of them may have been on the same page. as far as getting this resolved, but they may not have that confidence. They may not have that strong will. That's why he actually locked the door and said, this is going to happen today.
You ain't leaving until the decision's made, people, right?
We are not leaving this room until a decision is made. So they
that's it. So that just tells me, though, that not everybody can be the leader when you have the group. That's all that tells me, is that there is somebody. It could have been any one of them that stepped forward and said that they were all capable. All three of them, Lee, Hancock, and Adams, were quite capable, I think, of stepping forward. It just happened to be him that stepped forward and said, "This is going to have to happen."
Right, and so that's how we have to be with our dreams and our passions. We have to be as definite as that, like, this is going to happen. And that's why visualization and vision boards and things of that nature keeps us focused on this is going to happen. I believe that this is going to be. I see it. I smell it. I touch it. Because you understand, Adams may have had that vision of the end. He may saw that it's going to be perfect despite what the governor was saying to him and giving him all types of threats. He didn't see that. He wasn't in that moment. He was somewhere else. He was forward. He was thinking forward. Okay. And so we have to be the same way with our passion. I mean, we have to be the same way with our definite purpose. That's why it's called definite. Definite meaning this is going to happen, you know? So
yeah, love it. Thank you for clarifying. All right. So what's your name, buddy?
Right.
I don't want to call you Inner Soul, you know. I mean, unless that's your name.
Yeah.
But
SJ.
SJ. Well, welcome aboard, SJ. So glad you came in. I really, really like that. That helped to clarify what you were saying in the comment area, which was great stuff. Though I admit I stumbled a little bit on a couple of the comments because I wasn't sure where you were coming from, and that clarification really, really helped. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Oh, you too. Come back every morning, 8 o'clock. And Roll, welcome, and Adu, welcome. We're finishing up the recorded portion. I will be keeping the room open about half hour, 40 minutes or so for those who want to continue the discussion. And what we were talking about is power that begins with the combining of like-minded people. There's great power in that. And from that, you can have a definite plan. You can have organized planning. You can define what the vision is. You are able to articulate what that vision is. Correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, Sean. This is what we got from the reading, what I got from the reading, and what I'm hearing others got. And that you will stay the course. So the persistence, in spite of fear, in spite of threats, in spite of others coming in and trying to sway, either by threat or by showing a nice shiny object that my way's better than what you're doing now. Oh no, SJ, you're welcome to come back in. Just because you left doesn't mean I closed the door.
You could have just stayed.
Really, the seat's open. If you got the itch and you need to share, come on in. All I ask is that it be related to what we're talking about. And so as it relates to me as an individual, I could take this experience of as I said before, I could read it as fascinating history and not even see the principles as they apply to me. And yet everything I just stated is what's helping to move me forward with my self-growth, personal development, and the growth of my business. So I just wanted to clarify those things. How far off am I, Sean? You're my checkpoint. Outstanding.
No, you're right on.
You're
spot on.
It happens every once in a while.
At least from my perspective, yeah. Like when I say something, everybody goes, "Wow!"
Yeah, recorded, and it's recorded. The best part is it was recorded. Yes, mine are halogen light bulb moments. It was like, watch out, blinders. Something actually came through that was spot on. So thrilled when it happens. All right. Well, I'm going to shut down the recording portion,
Yes.
but as I said, the room will stay open and we can continue the discussion related to what we were talking about, what came out of the book. So this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. I want to thank everybody who's joined me in the live stream, and that would be Sean and SJ. And attempt by Brian. Try again next time, please. Thank you for all of those in the comment area that have been participating through your comments. That would be Chuck and Renan. Great contributions. And Sherry Woodard. Greatly appreciated that. And those who have come by to visit, to listen in, and to just kind of hang out. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming. So let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. Until